Hey everybody, welcome back to the Nerdy Gritty, where we delve deep into the details of pop culture. I am Dez.
I'm Fox.
Hey Fox, what are you up to, man?
So I've been playing several games, as I usually do.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy XII, the Zodiac Age still, because there's a crap ton to do in that game. Been playing Neo, which I've gotten to the point where...
The game in which, in our first episode, you alluded that would be the game. If you were to ever use racial slurs, that would be the game in which you would do
No,
so.
actually, I've gotten to the point where I understand the game. It happens in Dark Souls, too. Like, when I played Dark Souls 2, that's the only one that I've actually finished and played all through.
Right.
There comes a point where it's not hard anymore. Like, it's still like, you have to stay on your toes and pay attention, but you are over-leveled or just got a good grip on how the game works. That's where I am in Neo, where I'm like, I can just run through a level and not really have to worry about enemies until the final boss, and that probably takes a few tries, but yeah, so that's where I'm in that.
Nice.
Yeah.
It took me, because my internet is the worst. If you guys watch, like, the latter episodes of my Batman stuff or the beginning of my Sundered stuff, you'll see how often it just pops up on my screen, Wi-Fi connection lost. Yeah. And I hate it. Anyway, I need a new router is the truth. Not a router, modem. Need a new modem. Anyway, so it took me 3 days to download Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice, because it would just cut out. And then I'd have to restart it, and then it would just cut out, and then I'd restart it.
Oh, that hurts.
Or not restart, but like, it would get like 5%.
Start again.
Like, so it'd be like 5% at a time that it was the worst.
That's garbage.
But, I downloaded Sundered a while back, so I've been playing Sundered, for now, and.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I've been watching those.
Oh yeah. It's real good.
Here's honest time. I generally don't watch our own videos, even if they're not the ones that I put up, because I've played Batman Arkham Knight. So, I watched the ending because it's great, but...
It's real good.
Yeah, so...
But getting some plot in here has been real nice in Sundered. I like that, there's this whole resistor embrace thing, and the trapezohedron is like dark and black, and so just visually, it seems like the bad guy, but as you go in through the game, the exposition that they're giving... There is no real, yes, the trapezohedron is bad, or the humans that came here are good, or it's kind of a morally neutral thing, and they're just giving you this kind of morally neutral choice, like, do you want to resist or embrace? But from the very beginning, I had decided that I was going to resist, so I've been resisting.
I like that.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, it sounds like you made a choice.
I did. I did
in that
indeed.
Game that
you're welcome
playing.
For the segue.
Nice. Free segue. I can now...
slowly roll around.
But in that vein too, Des also finished watching
Last of Us.
The Last of Us for the first time.
My favorite YouTuber and kind of the reason I decided to do Let's Play
beside us, of course.
Of course.
Right.
My favorite YouTuber and beside the one that kind of I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to do some Let's Play stuff. His name's Christopher Odd, Mr. Odd Plays, and for the longest time I refused to watch or play Last of Us because I was just constantly told that there was father-daughter feels in it.
Oh, it's all about that.
And I have 2 daughters. I have 3 kids. 2 of them are girls. And, the feels would be too much for me.
Yep.
But a couple of people...
finally started.
Yeah, Fox and one of my students, Hunter, decided, they talked me into it. And I finally watched it, and I finally finished it.
Yeah. Well, before we get further into what we want to talk about, massive spoiler warning. We're talking about games that involve making choices, whether through gameplay or in the story or whatever. And when you have a choice, there's 2 options, and that can spoil things. So we're going to definitely be spoiling Last of Us.
We're going to spoil the crap out of Last of Us.
If you haven't played it, it's okay. Just stop and go play it, because that's more important, because it's so good.
Yes.
Definitely The Witcher 3 I want to talk about, and probably a few other things. We'll see as it comes. We'll give you another spoiler warning if we get to it. But just so you know, this is going to be spoiler-tastic.
And, we'll probably just talk about a lot of different games that involve choice.
Right.
We may spoil a lot of different games.
Sure.
Just an FYI here.
Right.
But, Fox, choice in games.
Yeah. I kind of love having choices in games, and also kind of hate it. 'Cause it's real finicky. Where, if it feels natural, or if it feels earned, things like that. And I'm talking very generally right now, but let's talk about what actually kicked this off, like this discussion, was The Last of Us, the end of it.
Right. So, here's what happens at the end of Last of Us.
Spoilers.
Massive spoilers. Okay, and I want to talk about a little bit beforehand either as well, because for a second, I was actually a little bit disappointed in Naughty Dog. Because...
How dare you?
I
They're
know.
the greatest.
Well, they proved me wrong. They got in my face.
Yep.
They were like, ha, take that.
Yep.
So... there's been like this mild antagonist throughout the entire game that isn't the infected. It's, this band of guys that you walk into a city, they try and pull a trick on you to steal all your stuff. You kill all of them, and then they're just kind of chasing you throughout the entire game, and you encounter this exact band of like...
You're talking about the Fireflies right now?
No, not the Fireflies.
Oh, okay.
It's just
been a while
a
since I
group
played.
of bad guys.
Just some...
raiders.
Okay, there you go.
And you are like slowly encountering them, and then finally there's a point in which Joel is hurt, and Ellie, Joel the main character, and then Ellie the little girl, is out hunting, and she encounters
winter starts, and it's so cool.
And she encounters a couple of people, and they start working together, start helping out, and then the older dude, at a moment where they're finally safe. The older dude stops and says, I've been hearing some rumors from my men. I sent some of my men into a town to get food, and they said that a crazy man and a little girl killed them all. And he kind of looks at her like, I know it's you. Yeah, and so Ellie gets all upset, and and for a second I think I'm like, whoa, have we been killing just people this whole time? Just dudes?
Just innocents?
And so I thought for a moment, like, this is gonna be like a really cool moral moment of, hey, you don't even know who you've been killing, and you've been pulling the trigger. Well, as the game progresses, the guy turns out to be a cult-leading, kidnapping, murdering, cannibal rapist.
Sure, yeah.
Literally all of those things.
He's not great.
And I'm like, Naughty Dog, you had such a good opportunity to introduce this whole idea of you killing innocent people or people who are just striving for the same thing, and instead you made him a murdering cannibal rapist.
Mustache twirling vision.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, come on, man. And then you get to the end of the game.
Yep.
Now, the whole thing throughout the game is that Ellie has the cure, or she's not the cure, she is immune.
She's immune for some reason.
She's immune for some reason, and so you get to the Fireflies, these people who are trying to find the cure,
they're the Fireflies.
And the Fireflies are like, cool, we can definitely use her. And you guys get there, Joel's unconscious at the time, and you guys get the Fireflies, and Joel just kind of wakes up, and somebody informs him while there are soldiers there, we've taken Ellie into surgery, we're going to extract some information from her to be able to get the cure. And he's like, wait, don't the spores infect the brain?
Yeah.
And she's like, yes, they do. So essentially the communication is Ellie will have to die, but in dying we can create a vaccine, and this vaccine will save the world. Or potentially save the world.
One person isn't super useful when you're trying to create a vaccine, but still.
Joel murders everybody.
Yes.
He kills dozens of Fireflies to get to Ellie.
He leaves and then goes back in, right? Like
he doesn't leave. They try and escort him out.
Oh, yeah.
And he gets halfway out, and he jumps a soldier, gets his gun, finds his own pack, and then murders his way through. So these are the Fireflies. These are the good guys.
These are quote-unquote good guys.
Right. These have been the rebels. The
point of the game kind of is that there's no good or really bad people, but they're close to good, pretty good.
In any situation where there's the rebels trying to save the day, that's the Fireflies.
That's them.
Yeah, that's the Fireflies. And so they're the rebels trying to save the day. You mow your way through dozens of them.
Oh, yeah.
But, they're soldiers, and you think, well, they're shooting at me. If they would just let me through. Then you get to a point where you're in the operating room.
Yep.
And there are 3 doctors surrounding Ellie. And one doctor holds up a knife and says, I won't let you do this. She can save all of us. She can be the one that saves the world. And you shoot him. Now, this is not a cutscene. The game will not progress.
Player is in control.
Player's in control. You will not progress.
You can
unless
stand there
you pull the trigger.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you pull the trigger and you kill you kill 2 of them, and one of them cowers in the corner. She cowers in the corner and says, you animal. You're nothing but an animal.
Right.
But again, the game will not progress until you kill her. And so you pull the trigger, and then it goes to the cutscene.
Right.
And where you save Ellie.
Which, okay, so...
Oh, man.
The moral of should Joel save Ellie or not, that's great. That's like we can disagree or agree on that all day long.
Right, and then we could talk about that. That'd be, I mean, if this were a little bit closer to when that released, but the whole idea of he lost one daughter,
yeah,
he is not going to lose a second.
Yeah,
there is no point in which he will lose a second one.
Right. That's great. The problem here that we feel is a problem is that you don't have a choice of whether or not to kill those people.
Right.
They are doctors. I'm sure you can overpower them.
They had nothing but a scalpel.
They had a scalpel. Just hit him with your gun. Shoot him in the foot.
Yeah. My first thought was shoot him in the knee.
Yeah, but the game forces you to do something, and it's not showing you something that happens. It forces you to do it.
Right.
And it's kind of baffling that they don't give you a choice right there. Because even though you're the one doing it, it's not a choice. It might as well be like a QTE or a cutscene.
Right.
Because you're just following what the game is telling you to do rather than choosing what to do.
And then they make you do it for that sense of agency. They want to make you feel uncomfortable. They want to make you feel not good about yourself, but they are forcing that emotion in you.
Right. But if I was forced to punch somebody, I was forced to punch a small child.
Right. I
did it, but if somebody was grabbing my hand and throwing my fist into that wasn't me. I did not do that. I did not make that choice. I would still feel bad that it happened, but it was not my choice.
And I think that's exactly our point right now is we feel bad, but it wasn't our choice.
Yeah.
And it's this forced moment of shame.
And more than that, I don't feel as Joel would do that. Joel has no problem killing humans, uninfected. That's well established in the game. You kill lots of people. And like you said, you could even justify him killing the soldiers who are, trying to kill you.
Right.
You caused, quote unquote, the problem, but they're trying to kill you, so it's self-defense in some
Right. If they would let you walk in and see Ellie and talk to people, I don't think Joel would have killed anybody.
Right. He has never killed an innocent in the entire game.
Right.
Until this point. And that's, to me, the more grievous mistake that Naughty Dog made. Was you were telling a story about mainly two characters, and at the most climactic moment of the game, you went outside of that character. When it was the most important to reveal who this person is, you didn't. You kind of just... It seems like it was, let's make the character do, or the player do this thing, rather than let's have the character that we've crafted do what they would do. And so that was kind of the catalyst of why we want to talk about choice in gaming.
Right.
And player agency, really. And we need to discuss, kind of the art form, or the mechanics of gaming.
Right, because choice is good in gaming.
Yeah, 100%. But games as an art form, video games as an art form, are separated separated from other forms of art in the fact that the audience interacts.
Yes.
A movie, you are the audience and you're watching what happens. A book, you're reading what happens. Music, you're listening to what happens. You didn't have any input on
paintings,
who made it.
drawings, all of that stuff.
Obviously, if you're creating, you're choosing. But if you're just the audience, video games are unique in the fact that you have some agency in what happens in the game. Even if it's on rails, you're choosing, if you're playing Call of Duty, you're choosing to run to the next objective. So in some fashion, you are interacting with that game.
Or you're pulling the trigger. Like an on-rails shooter, like Time Cop or something like that. Like, you are the one that's aiming and pulling the trigger.
You're still doing those things instead of just witnessing them happen. And so, in that sense, choice almost necessarily is part of gaming. Even at its basic form, you're still choosing to do those things. The real idea of choice, though, comes in when you have multiple paths to take, and the story continues in different directions, even slightly different directions, based on what you do. So, a lot of games do this nowadays. It's pretty popular to have, your choices affect the story, the game world.
Right.
And I think the first games that really brought this up in my world, or in my view of games, was Mass Effect series. Not only that, at the very beginning, or in the first game, choices you make at the beginning will affect later times, or
right.
The end game, things like that, or even little dialogue choices will affect your relationship with a person. That's really cool, but they continued on. And so, 7 or 8 or 10 years down the line, when you're playing Mass Effect 3, except for the very end, of course, your choices from the first game still made a difference.
Yeah.
And that's super cool. That creates like this saga of Shepard and his crew that actually is affecting things to a certain
quick note,
point.
Whenever somebody says Shepard and his or him or whatever, I was a her through all the games I played. And it's weird to me whenever
John.
people say him, but
right. But even those things, even that, character creation is a choice you make, things like that. And so, what I want to talk about is, should a game, if we're going to put it in a form of a question, should a game involve choices like that? And if so, how should it be done?
Right. Because there are games with choice, like Mass Effect is a game with choice, where choice is a necessary thing, and they do it as well as they can.
Right.
Because, with any game, you cannot design infinite paths.
100%.
You can't even design 20 paths. That would just be too difficult.
You can have lots of endings, but there's by design, just by how physics works, a limit to what you can do to things.
Absolutely. And so when you can do it as well as you can, and I think Mass Effect is one of the good examples of that.
I'd slightly disagree with you there, but
really?
Yeah, I would. I think Mass Effect does a good job in seeing the results of your actions and making them count. But I think mechanics-wise, a problem with the choices that you're given is that it's also tied to just a simple Paragon Renegade thing.
Oh, yes. That I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so it's same with Infamous. I don't know if you played the Infamous games, but that's even worse, in my opinion, where you're either bad or good.
Yeah.
Everything you do is one of those things, and then it's also tied to abilities you have in the game.
Right.
So if you want to be all-powerful, you have to be either the greatest person who's ever lived or the worst person that's ever lived. Mm-hmm. If you stay right down the middle, you're not going to be very good in either direction as far as your abilities and your,
Star Wars games are like that.
Yeah.
You either have to be
the dark
Jedi
and the light
or
side.
Sith.
Right. I remember Infamous, I don't want to do this, but I want that ability, or I want to be more powerful, so I guess I'm going to have to.
Yeah.
And at that point, it's not letting the player choose anymore. It's forcing them to make a decision they wouldn't have made because you've tied the morality of the game to the mechanics of the game in a way that it's not very intuitive or doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
And that's a common complaint with choice in games is a lot of times it's tied to this morality system, and morality systems are so stark. It's either send an orphan to college or eat this orphan.
Eat the orphan. BioShock.
Yeah, BioShock
is
one.
an incredible game.
Yeah.
So much fun. But if you choose to drain one little sister,
your choices
you're now monster. You're now the worst person ever.
Save and restore these little girls, or destroy and consume these little girls.
Become the villain.
Yeah, it's a great example of the starkness of moral choice. And so it's one thing, and maybe that's part of why Naughty Dog took me off guard with Last of Us, and also why I was kind of unsettled with it, is because they played through literally 95% of the game with kind of maybe not a starkness of moral choice, because Joel will kill people. He'll straight up shoot a man.
Sure.
But at the same time, there are, most of the time, it's acceptable. You are a good person.
His actions can be justified.
Yeah, absolutely.
Self-defense most of the time. And
then at the last 5% of the game, even 1% of the game, it just swaps it on you. Right. And they've set this standard, and they just pull the rug out from underneath you. And in some ways, that can be good art.
Oh, it's effective.
Yeah.
100%. It makes you think. I still remember that. Like, I remember that cutscene at the end when Ellie wakes up and what she says, like, promise me you'll never, leave me behind her again or something like that. Or no.
No.
Well, it was like, they couldn't help or something, or I couldn't do anything.
So she said, what happened? Where are we? And he says, oh, it turns out there's actually dozens of people like you.
Yeah, you're not the only one.
Not the only one.
We're free to go.
And
she's like skeptical.
It hasn't helped yet.
She's skeptical, and she says, you promise? Something?
This was later on, so this is like months later.
Yeah, and he says, I promise.
She says, swear to me.
So there you go, I swear.
Swear to me that what you told me about the fireflies was true.
Right.
And he looks her dead in the face and says, I swear.
Yeah. And it's like, that's gut punching right there. Like, he's like, that's the consequences. Not that he's obviously killing people is morally wrong, and you don't like Joel for doing that, but in that moment, that's even worse. Like, you just lied to this little girl straight to her face.
Well, and it like, again, part of it is that the forcing you, so you have created this character, and the whole idea of interaction is you have made this choice to be a selfless character. You are Joel, and you are saving Ellie, and you are trying to get Ellie there to help the world. Mm-hmm. And with the actions that you go through and the things that you do, and like we're talking about, games are an interactive source, you feel to be a kind of a paragon, like a selfless, saving
you
character.
Feel as though you're a good person. Not morally absolutely right in all cases,
right,
but you're doing the right thing.
But then at the very end, they pull the rug out on you, and then you discover it's been 100% selfish the whole time. He wants to save Ellie because he doesn't want to lose another daughter.
And there's the real problem, is that not the choice. What I see is more important in a game is creating a character that I like, not necessarily agree with, but want to see succeed. And that's the same in every piece of art ever. The point of art is to reflect the human experience and to be able to want good to overcome evil, generally. That's something you want to happen. And that's where I think Naughty Dog kind of failed, is that they've created, you were saying that you've created this character, and you haven't. I started this story about this character with other characters. I am now involved in this story with somebody other than me, because I'm not Joel. I'm Kyle, or Fox, as the internet calls me sometimes. And so I want to see the story of Joel and Ellie, not the story of Fox and Ellie, because I'm not Joel.
Right.
It's like, I would rather have a game just be cutscenes instead of giving me choices, especially when those choices don't actually reflect the character or give me any agency.
And are you saying that as like a flat thing? Like, you would have preferred Mass Effect to be no choices, just a story being told?
In the main plot points, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Really?
Yeah, big things where that's actually, if you're on some side quest and you can talk to a lady, like, okay, let's go with the reporter in Mass Effect that you can punch her that in the face. All punched in the face because you can
every time.
It doesn't matter how good you were trying to be; she deserved it. And
I
then
did a second playthrough of Mass Effect, and I was like 100% Paragon, and I gave like a Bill Pullman and Independence Day speech out to that camera.
I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite restaurant on the Citadel. For those little things that might have effects on the story, but I would rather have a game designer create a well-crafted, fully fleshed out story for me to witness and be a part of, rather than me be given so much agency that the character isn't a character. It's just a vessel for me to be. That's what I will say. And I don't mind choice, but I like story and character.
Here's what I'll say about good choice then. So, because I kind of agree with you here.
Yeah.
I think good choice comes in with a flat character. You know, Commander Shepard is a flat character.
For the most part.
In as much as you're a hero and you want to stop the Reapers. And that's about as much character as you have.
Right.
Other than that, you get to build Captain Shepard. You get to put your spacesuit on, and you get to make Captain Shepard the Shepard that you want to be. She can become
Commander Shepard.
Oh, Commander Shepard, the Shepard you want her to be. She can become anything that you create as you're going through her story.
For the most part, yes.
Right.
You can't choose not to fight the Reapers.
Right. And I think that's good. So in a game like that, in a game like Dragon Age Inquisition, it's
a very similar idea.
Yeah, very similar idea where it's a flat character and you get to make the choices to build this character.
Yeah,
I think that's great. I love that. But when you are Naughty Dog, when you're CD Projekt Red, when you are Square Enix, and you are creating characters that you love and fall in love with. You're telling the story about Geralt. You're telling the story about Nathan Drake. You're telling a story about Cloud Strife. I don't want to have the choice to ruin that character.
That Witcher 3 is a great example of this. So I played through all 3 Witcher games. And when as I was playing Witcher 3, I mean, I always liked Triss more. I like her more as a character, and I love how the two main love interests are Triss and Yennefer, and they're both very different, and attractive to Geralt in different ways. And what's the Extra Credits has a great video about this. So go watch that. I don't want to steal from them.
Extra Credits also has a great video on choice in video games.
Sure.
So go watch everything Extra Credits.
Yeah, just watch everything because we're just gonna copy a lot of stuff that they do, but not really. They're both viable options in the sense that, okay, I could see Geralt staying with this person.
Right.
Yennefer is like that passionate, makes me want to be somebody better, and that kind of, and this is passionate love affair, and but dangerous as well.
Adventurous.
Triss is more of the girl next door.
Nurturing.
From your childhood, who has just always been there for you.
Yeah.
And is just, like a comforting presence.
Ooh, yeah.
And I've always liked Triss's personality more and just her interactions. So when you get that choice, spoiler, to choose one or the other, basically, I chose Triss. Did not regret it, because I like Triss more than Yennefer.
Right.
Then I read the entire Witcher series. It's a book series. I don't know if you know that. You should read them. They're really cool. But throughout it, you get to see Geralt and Yennefer's relationship. You find out that, there's a short story book where you first see them meet and then find out how they came together, and it's really funny, kind of. There's a gin involved. It's crazy.
And tonic.
Yeah, gin and tonic, lots of drinking. Well, that's true also, but also a genie is involved.
Gin and a genie.
Gin and a genie. But both, and you see their relationship evolve, and you see some really intimate moments, in all forms of the word. And you want them to be together. At least I did. You were waiting for that moment when they're separated and they come back together. And when Geralt does something with another lady, you're like, hey man, what are you doing? You shouldn't be doing this.
Yennefer's waiting for you, Geralt.
Pretty much.
She's probably not.
I don't want to get involved in the story too much because there's a lot of depth to it. Just go read them. So I see, and then when Triss comes in, Triss always pines for Geralt, likes him. And they were, slept together once, I think, is what happened. But they're never, a real thing. And so, after reading those, I want to go back and play The Witcher 3 and make the choice that I think Geralt would make. To me, the player agency there is fine for the game and really good and very well done, because it's not just a stark yes or no, bad or good choice. But knowing who the character is, I think he should make a choice rather than what I would prefer. Because again, I'm not Geralt. I see some of myself in him, which is what art is supposed to do, but I'm not him. So I want to do what he should want to do.
And I think that's a great idea. I don't want a choice to be out of character. When you're telling me the story of a person, I want them to be that character.
Yes.
That's why I had such a problem with Last of Us, is that very last chunk. even fighting the soldiers, I could get past that.
Yeah.
But when he shot the doctors, when he shot
a character that
the character that kind of raised, what's her name, like Melinda or something like that.
I forget.
But the character that basically raised Ellie, you shoot and murder her. In fact, she's on the ground, half dead but alive still, and she says, "Please don't leave me." And Joel walks up and says, "You'd only come after her anyway," and shoots her in the face.
Yep.
And I just feel that, I mean, again, he's probably not in his right mind. He's got this whole mindset.
He is desperate.
Yeah, he's got this mindset of, I will not lose another daughter. But at the end of the day, I still feel like that's out of character for him.
Right.
And I don't want the option. So in a situation like yours, where you feel like Geralt, forget Fox, Geralt would have chosen Yennefer.
Right.
I would have liked something like, he's gonna choose Yennefer, you get to choose how to let down Triss.
Yes.
And you were given a choice at that point. Do you want to be cruel to her and say, just get out of my life, or I'm done with you, or,
that is,
kind of whatever
kind
else.
Of what happens.
But do you want a choice of how to let down Triss? You don't get a choice of who you're picking. I want the character to be able to be in their character, but you can still make some of their moderate choices.
Now, to be fair to CD Projekt Red, you get to choose to let down either one or both of them.
Right.
You don't have to end up with either one. And the scene where you... so, I'm going to go real quick. Short story book of The Witcher. You first meet Yennefer. There's a djinn involved. You're the one who releases it, so you have the wishes. And your final wish, so that Yennefer doesn't die, is that while I'm alive, Yennefer will always be, like, connected to me. Basically, you intertwine your lives.
Wow.
It's really cool. And also weird. You got to get used to his writing style and what the stories are like. But, so that happens. And so, whether or not you like it, you continually come in contact with each other. And sometimes it's awful, and sometimes it's great. But you are continually intertwined. You know who each other... You will find each other whether you're trying to or not. Really cool. In The Witcher 3, she finds that djinn again. And contacts you. Like, she captures it and contacts you. And you have no idea why. You go to her and she's like, I have the djinn. I'm going to release it because I want to know if what we have is real or if it's literally just because we are forced to know each other, forced to be intertwined with each other. And there you get the choice to choose, like, I think you kill the djinn, essentially, so that his magic is no longer involved. You get the choice to say, no, I love you. Like, I've always loved you and will want to be with you. Or, it was just the djinn. I'm sorry.
Interesting.
You don't get to, like, no, get out of my face, woman. It's like, it's such a good scene. Yeah. And Triss is kind of the same way, where she has an option to go somewhere. Like, she's thinking of going this place. Mm-hmm. But she, like, wink, wink, tells you, hey, I'm thinking about going to this. And you get the choice of, no, I want you to stay. Or, I think that'd be a great thing for you to do. Like, you should do that. Like, it's never at a point where you're just like, I want to have sex with you, or don't, and we're in love now. Hint, hint, Mass Effect.
Mass Effect.
So it's great. They did a very good job. What I was saying is just, knowing the character of Geralt better made me want to choose something that I didn't choose. I chose based on my opinion and not Geralt's.
Right. And so what I'm saying is, they should have taken that away from you. They should have made you stick with Yennefer.
Yeah, I suppose. But you can justify either one. You can see there's roots of the relationship between both. And there's a reason why he would pick one or the other. Mm-hmm. So I think the choice should stay there. Because it's not out of character for him to choose either one. There's a reason why he would. But just knowing him more, I think he should make that choice. I think it's kind of one of the most perfect examples of
good choice
where it's not good or bad or yes or no or 100% or 0%. Both of these make sense.
Yeah.
What I think that a game can do just as much as just as much for putting the character in the putting the player in the shoes of the character by just doing cutscenes and not giving actual player choice. Mm-hmm. And my example for this is Shadow of the Colossus. In Shadow of the Colossus, it's a real simple game. Yep. 5 or 6 hours. You are Wander, a boy who comes into this big open land, to this legendary place he's heard of, that there's somebody who can bring his dead girlfriend back to life.
Right.
He places her on an altar, and this disembodied voice says, kill the 16 colossi of the land, and we will bring her back to life for you.
There you go. Plot. Done.
That's the plot. So you spend the rest of the game finding these colossi and killing them. 16 enemies throughout the game. They are massive, really fun puzzle/combat. Like, you gotta climb up. Really cool. The remastered HD remake is coming out for PS4, and I'm super pumped.
If you're listening to this, you probably know Shadow of the Colossus. But if you don't, go play it now.
Go play it, yeah. Every time you choose to kill a colossus, you're not happy about it.
Yeah. They seem like such gentle creatures just kind of loping around the land.
Some of them are a little more aggressive than others.
Right.
But they're not hurting you.
Yeah.
They're not harming anything. They are literally just creatures that live in this land. Even the human-looking ones, they're all kinds of different shapes and stuff. Just kind of wandering around. And you're the aggressor. You're the one who comes up and stabs them to death. And just because you didn't get to choose whether or not to kill them, if you wanted to continue the game, doesn't mean that you feel what Wander is going through. Especially since after killing each one, there's like this darkness that comes out of them and infects you.
Yeah.
And you're like, it's literal, it's part of a character, but it's also like a metaphor, like you're giving up who you are.
Right. You're dying a little bit inside.
By destroying who these people, like these creatures. And I think that's more important. Feeling who a character is and knowing who he is and agreeing or disagreeing. I think that's more important than being able to have even like Mass Effect levels of choice in a game.
Agreed. And that's exactly my point, is that Shadow of the Colossus is a great example. They're telling a story about Wander. And in this piece of art, you empathize with him and you also feel sad for him. And the whole thing is very heartbreaking, but you also see him like being the aggressor. And, you know, the first one is a big, like, beast with a club.
Yeah.
And he looks bad.
Right.
He looks like a bad guy.
He looks like he could want to kill you.
But the second one just looks kind of like a turtle, and it's just kind of like walking around this canyon, and it's a beautiful thing. And
some really nice flying ones that are just graceful.
Yeah, just graceful, yeah.
Super cool looking.
And then you go and you kill it. Right. And every single time you regret your choice, but you know Wander wants to do this. At the end, I wouldn't want Wander to be able to, I don't want the choice at the end to say, you know what?
Never mind.
Give the Colossi their life back and let her die. I don't want that choice.
It would have been great if that was a thing that happened and you see Wander, like, pause.
Mm-hmm.
And have to make that choice, but then make it.
Right.
I would rather see him make the choice than get to choose.
But on the flip side, I want the choice to punch that reporter in the face or to have a conversation with her. I want the choice to what speech I'm going to make to my army as the Inquisitor, as the High Inquisitor. You know, I want the choice in these areas where this isn't a story about that character. I am creating the character. Or even in situations where, like, let's say it's Nathan Drake, and I get the choice to go to one place first or another place first. You know, that's a real simple, basic choice. Sure, I'll choose which place to go. You know, the choice that doesn't impact the character. But
see, I don't know if I agree with you there. To me, Mass Effect is kind of like a mechanics over art type thing. Like mechanics over story, I guess. It's like if you watch Inception.
Right.
Real cool, interesting movie. Real fun to see the different like layers of the dreams that they're falling through and have to like figure out who's where and what's doing and what's happening. But if Cobb, the main character, if there was no story about him and like the core of that movie is not dreams and like a heist in the dreams. The core of the movie is Cobb and his interaction with his wife. Right. And being able to forgive himself and her for what happened.
Yeah.
Because if that wasn't there, it would just be like it'd be like a fun, cool action movie with like a clever idea behind it, but you wouldn't really care. You'd be like, oh, that was cool. But it wouldn't resonate with you. You wouldn't have somebody to interact. And that's what I feel like Mass Effect is sometimes, where it became like, you can do whatever you want. And the story is, you're not, there is no main character. You're the character.
I think
I get why they did it. I'm not saying
right.
They shouldn't, but
I think why they did that and why I feel they did it well is because they made you care about the side characters. They did it in Mass Effect, they did it in Inquisition. Like, I cared about Talia.
Yeah.
In fact, you guys are gonna hate me for this. Talia is the one, not Quinari. That's the one with the mask. I can't remember what they're called. But she's the one with the mask, and she was my favorite character. Because she had this mask on, and I don't know why. But I was like, I thought that was so cool that you never actually saw her face. But she was my favorite character, and I even looked up at the end of Mass Effect 2 on how to make sure that she survives.
You monster.
I looked it up online because I like her, and I wanted her. Anybody else I didn't care about. I want to make sure she survived. But somehow, at the end of the day, I did everything I was supposed to, but she still died.
Right.
I did not play Mass Effect 3.
I mean, Mass Effect 3 is fun, but you're fine.
Yeah. And so, because I cared about her so much, and at the same time, in
Dragon Quest.
Dragon Age, Inquisition.
I remember.
In Inquisition, I cared about, Iron Bull.
That guy was cool.
Yeah, I cared about Cassandra.
Those relationships are really cool. That suicide mission in the second game, the second Mass
Effect.
Effect.
So good.
I was on the edge of my freaking seat.
Right.
Like, and I don't think I lost many people. I think I got really lucky, but it was like real good. That was good. I will say that. They did a very good job. I personally prefer less choice and more robust character fleshing out.
And the way that you can do that, you can like do things less important is like Skyrim, where there's like a story, I guess, but your character, he's just a pawn in it.
Skyrim's a fun game to play, but it's not about it's a very broad and shallow game.
Yeah. All the Elder Scrolls, they're not about the story. They're about you being super powerful and having fun, and it's a really cool time. Whatever else. Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's not fun, it's just...
Oh, yeah, it's great.
It's not going to be an example of a piece of art that you bring up when Congress is trying to say that you're not protected by free speech.
Right.
Yeah, but it's fun.
But like Naughty Dog does a great job of telling the story about characters, and they're incredible and they're fantastic. And the Uncharted, like I love the Uncharted games so much, and there is zero choice in that.
Yes,
that's fine.
Perfectly
with me.
Fine with me.
I am 100% fine with that. And so I just think that as far as choice goes, I think if you're establishing a character and they want you to become that character and to empathize with that character, don't give me a choice. Yeah. Tell me the story about that character.
Know what you're creating.
Yeah. But if you want to include choice and you want to sort of flush out a 2D character and you make that character become 3D, you make that character become a person, and you want to give me the choice on who that person becomes, that's fine.
But just make sure that you're giving us something to care about.
Exactly.
Because it's not really going to be the main character.
Right.
It's the Link problem, I think.
Yeah.
What Breath of the Wild solved. I didn't care about Link.
Zelda.
But Zelda you care about.
Right.
You care about these other characters.
Yeah, and the 4 Divine Beast controllers were there, the 4 champions.
The hero champions, that's
cool. And so, yeah. Let us know what you guys think.
Yeah.
That's going to do it for us today.
Give us some examples of good games that have done this.
Yeah.
Or bad games,
choice,
really.
Yeah.
Talk to us.
And hey, if you love the way that Last of Us ended, let us know why, and talk to us, guys.
And then I'll say you're wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Thank you guys for listening. We'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Bye.